request Dr. Ashim Ray to take the chair. And there are three presentations in this session. One is by Sulochana Ghosh of TMILL. It's on accelerating decarbonization through logistics. I request her to please take the seat. And the second presentation is by Vikas Gupta from IBM. I think I saw Gupta. Vikas is here, I suppose. Vikas. Yeah, Vikas is very much here. Have you loaded your presentation? Vikas, have you seen your presentation? Okay. And then third presentation is by Ms. Neha Jha of Jamie Paul. Neha, are you here? Yeah, Dr. Sarvendu San here. So all three are here. My request to, come all three presenters on the stage, and Dr. Roy is already there. I'm handing over the mic to Dr. Ray and ask him to please conduct. I think we should finish it, 1 hour maximum.
Hello?
45 minutes? Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. We are starting this session. In this session, it is a technical session 2. In this session, we have 3 papers. Basically, 2 papers are on logistics, and the third one is on process, rather. So, I request all the speakers to limit the presentations within 12 minutes, and then maybe 3 minutes we'll have the discussions. So we'll try to finish the session within 45 minutes. So the first paper is on accelerating decarbonization through logistics. It will be presented by Sulochana Ghosh of TMILL. Sulochana, please.
Very good afternoon to all the dignitaries here, and I think for the benefit of time, I would say the time limit given to us is 10 minutes, sir. So if we finish within that, we should get an extra prize. So with that note, I'll start that. So an anecdote to start with. Is it in presentation mode? If you see the list where the topic of the presentation is named, it is written acceleration of decarbonization. And what you see now here is environmental sustainability through green supply chain options. So why I said this is, this was a last moment change, and when we talk about decarb, typically logistics is a sector where we think that decarb is a kind of misnomer. It's difficult. So with that note, I would like to start the presentation that yes, it is possible that we can have green supply chain solutions. And so coming to the topic of today's entire conference, which is transforming. So any transformation is a journey, and I feel that it's not a single day or a single step procedure. It's a long journey and not a quick fix. When we talk about it, it is very important that we have a strategic foresight and we have an action planning and collaborative approach to attain the overall goal. And this slide which you have on the screen, I think most of the dignitaries here are aware about Scope 1 and Scope 2 and 3 canvas. It is basically your emission canvas, while Scope 1 and Scope 2 is something which we all know or relate more closely with. It is the Scope 3 where the logistics actually resides upon, and why it is critical to take Scope 3 as one of the critical levers to plan your decarb journey, even if you are in logistics or steel, that is where I would like to bring the focus upon. Okay. So this is a typical slide on scope 3 which has 15 different categories on which this is broken off, and if you see in upstream and downstream there is a highlighted bucket which talks about upstream and downstream transportation where logistics resides. So typically the whole idea of bringing this slide was that while in the previous slide it is very clear that scope 1 is something which is within your control. It is your company facilities, it's your direct control on how you are doing the transportation. When it comes to scope 2 also it is limited to electricity usage, but when it comes to scope 3 it's a laundry list of activities, and how do we take them as a metric and an action plan is the theme of the presentation today. I would like to bring the Indian context here. Most companies, net zero targets, they only account for scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. While I was doing some research on the subject, this was something that also, it was a new thing to me. It was a surprise element. And this data, which is basically CDP data, it says that the companies that are today, disclosing their emissions, only 31% of the companies are actually including scope 3 in their emission scope. Rest of the companies, which is a bigger percentage of 69%, they fall outside the, they don't disclose voluntarily their scope 3 targets. Now, if you actually go to a level why questions, that why do we feel that scope 3 is not getting recorded or not getting reported, then I would like to say that we had a occasion to be a participant in a CII white paper where the objective or the whole effort was to find out that why the scope 3 emissions are not getting recorded. And if we just bring that why back here, what we get to understand is that it's easy that it is beyond your control, it is very fragmented. Lot of SMEs are actually a party to it, and the kind of ecosystem in which they operate, it may be difficult for them to kind of compute the data, put the metrics, put the calculation, and there is lack of awareness in that sector, and government interventions to streamline all of this is still work in progress. It is not in any kind of policy. So from here, I would like you to, I would bring one more point here, that when we talk about scope 3 emissions, there are 4 factors that is very critical, and we have to outline the relevance to business, what is the potential emission size, the data control, and the influence to manage emissions. So these are the 4, you can say, contours of, going to scope 3 and understanding it, and then using it. This is a very interesting slide. If you see sector-wise reporting of scope 3 emissions, an interesting insight comes out that, a very less percentage of companies today are actually reporting scope 3. And if in the overall horizon, if you see what is that non-reporting percentage in terms of scope 3, I mean, the non-reporting that is happening, what is the percentage that they actually contribute to the overall scope 3 emissions, then I have just highlighted manufacturing. So if you see in the previous slide, 16% of manufacturing companies are today reporting scope 3, whereas 1/3 of emissions are sitting in this bucket. So the whole messaging that I'm trying to make here is that it's a very critical share in your entire scope 3, and there has to be a focused approach to also deal with it. Till here, I think I would like to conclude the first part of the presentation, which was identifying what are the critical parameters in understanding scope 3 and how they are actually a relevant portion of your overall GHG emission. So I think that important point here to note is that if you go do a lot of YY analysis, there are companies who are actually reporting it. So we have to learn out of it. We have to have more collaborative approach to find out how they are actually doing this whole thing. Internationally, there are many companies who are pretty matured in this whole sector. So I think it's more a learning attitude and a relevance attitude that we have to bring in to address scope 3. From here, I am moving out to the logistics section, and if you see, and we all know that we are adding 14% of cost in the entire, compared to other developed countries, which is in the 8 to 10% range. This is a high value which is allocated to logistics cost. And when we think that why this cost is so high, then typically you will find that this road, rail, maritime and inland waterways metrics come into picture. While an interesting point here to make that almost 64% of India's goods movement is still very much road oriented. It could also be because it is end-to-end connectivity. It's the roads are it's a long road, and we do have issues in terms of maritime, issues in terms of inland waterways, which we will bring in this presentation today. So because of this, the Indian dependence or transport dependence on road is very high, and which is the most carbon intensive way of moving your goods. Typically over road, the next best thing that comes or easiest thing that comes is rail, and this data on the left hand side which speaks that this is a 2020 data, it's National Rail Plan data, which says that today's modal mix rail is 27%, and as per National Rail Plan they want to move it to 45%, and to move this to 45%, there are a lot of initiatives that government is taking. Particularly in allowing private players to come in. Rolling stock is typically the rakes that you see, the goods train that you see. So a private participator can take these rakes, I mean the capex is ours, and then we bring these rakes into operation. And there is a lot of government, I would say, impetus on this front. A lot of easy way of taking licenses is also into picture. So I think it's a great move by Indian Railways, and one important point that we would like to highlight is that Indian Railways has come up with a rail green point which comes onto the RR. What typically you can see here is that for moving this particular shipment, and this is TMIL's IR code. So for moving hot rolled coils, the points that got generated is 219. So typically this is equivalent to saving of 219 tons of CO2. So it's a great way. It's more a motivation because there is no economic, or I would say this motivation is not economically balanced. There is no incentive allotted to it. But yes, this is a data. Maybe in future Indian Railways can translate this to some kind of carbon credits, or can also allocate it against your maybe CRISIL rating or any other ratings that shows that yes, these are the players who are actually consciously working on the green part, green logistics part. Typically, these are two snapshots of our rakes. The above one that you can see is we call it GPWIS rakes, and these are usually carrying your raw material, which is coal, iron ore, and the other one is an SFTO rake, which is primarily used for finished goods, which we call SFTO rakes. We are happy to say that we operate almost 70 such rakes, and trust me, it is helping our customers greatly. While Tata Steel is our primary user of these rakes, but we also have some cement companies into our kitty, and we are expanding onto it. When we talk about these rakes, it is important that typically the SFTO rake that you are seeing here, Usually when you load these coils into IR rakes, you do a very different kind of dunnaging, and it is generally wood material. So these kind of rakes are also helping to move in a green way by reducing the dunnage through wooden, because these are more like grooves and it gets set over it. So these are few of, I would say initiatives or business initiatives that TMILL has taken to add to the green points of our key customers. I will move to the next slide. TMILL has consciously started a new vertical which is called inland waterways, and you can say that this was more a pilot, a test case, or a study to find out that how does the multimodal actually works. This example that I'm showing out here is moving a 1,000-ton parcel from Kolkata to Agartala. And if you can see that when we moved it out of a multimodal, I'll just explain what exactly is multimodal here. So from Howrah, we have taken the goods to Haldia. From Haldia, we took it through river mode to Ashuganj, and from Ashuganj to the final destination, again by road. Important element is that the starting point of all such logistics starts with what is the economics, what is the per ton rupee costing. In this particular case, we could match the road freight, but the point that I'm trying to make that we have options available around us, very easy to migrate. Yes, it comes with some kind of extra days. There are issues in terms of infrastructure, but that is also because not lot many industry players are taking their cargo through multimodal. So it's a chicken and egg story, who comes first, whether infrastructure is built up. So there is a scale issue in which we find here, and I think the whole point is that we have to consciously take that multimodal or waterways. There are carbon issues which are associated with multimodal is much less compared to road, and that particular factor becomes a business case which usually, which we find that when customers are also speaking, this is never a selling point. I would also say that it is never a selling point from our side also at times. I mean, in our whole business case, sustainability as a selling point is not a focus area. This is another small, again, a piloting case. We have taken a small barge, and in the previous slide, I think the challenge of parcel size and reliability of cargo assurance by customers are not there. So we are piloting it through a smaller vessel so that we can consolidate one or two customers and start using it in a more routine manner. So these are the two, you can say, a TMILL kickstart projects which we are actually trying to see that which customers actually come forward and utilize them. And in both the cases, as I said, the per ton costings were okay, but I think the whole point is that even if per ton it is little expensive, are we taking that extra effort to maneuver through this challenge? This is more a concluding slide saying that yes, there are options available. I think previous sections were all very technical, where we talked about a lot of high-tech things around us. But when it comes to logistics, if you just see left and right, if you just have right procurement managers, who can start thinking alternatives in terms of transportation, I think we are there. A little intent and an effort can allow users to kind of experiment with these and bring their confidence and then move ahead. We have kind of not spoken much on cleaner fuels because this is more a shipping element, but yes, when we are talking sustainability, then yes, there are a lot of technology, new things that are coming towards cleaner fuels. We have touched upon rail coefficient through GPWS and SFTO, how the road movement is gradually shifting to rail, and rail comes with a lot of other benefits as well. And I have touched upon coastal and inland. Slurry pipe is a different subject, but yes, when we talk supply chain, I think we cannot miss it. So all of it is actually helping us to reduce idle freight. an idle weight both, and a kind of network optimization is a key to I mean, it's an enabler to actually work around it, and all of this is actually helping us in reducing the carbon footprint for our customer. The last slide, when I say building a sustainable business case, the whole point is that are we willing to take that extra edge, even if it comes at an extra cost today, because the whole point of scaling up and getting the right advantage is critical today, and it is a leadership point, it's a leadership case now, that how we bring sustainability to our business case. On this note, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you, Sulochana, for a nice presentation. Now we can take up a couple of questions if you have from the audience. Any questions or clarifications? Okay, if there is no, then I'll just sum up like this. There are basically 4 modes of transportation, by road, by rail, by pipelines, and then by water transportation. In fact, if you look at the efficiency, water transportation is the most efficient, and then comes the pipeline transportation, then rail, and then road transportation. In India, as Sulochana said, about 64% of the material is being transported through roads, and then about 24%, if I am correct, is transported through the rails, and only 5% of the transportation of material takes place through water transport. And pipeline transport, hardly anything, where only 2 to 3%, mostly mostly it is transported, the fuels or oils, petroleum products are transported through pipelines. So India has to exploit the potential of the water transportation, and which is the most efficient way of transportation in terms of cost as well as CO2 emission. So I think we have to move in this direction. Thank you, Sulochana, for bringing out your points. Thank you very much. The next presentation is again on supply chain management. This is basically innovation in supply chain and logistics by Mr. Vikash Gupta of IBM. Mr. Vikash Gupta is a graduate from IIT Kharagpur, as I understand, and he is presently a consultant to IBM. Mr. Gupta, please.
Good afternoon all. So do I get extra time because he closed maybe 15 minutes?
Okay.
So I have been, I have been hearing the session for the last 3 hours. So let me introduce first myself. I come from supply chain and logistics background. I have been working with IBM for the last 14 years and been in this domain for 17, 18 years. So let me start up with a disclaimer. I have no experience in steel industry, but I have been listening to the lectures for the last 3 hours, and a lot of us called into me. I don't know how much I have been able to absorb, but a lot of information. So I can say that this room has got plenty of knowledge. Yeah. So in the next 10-15 minutes, I would like to talk about the latest technologies that are there in the domain of supply chain and logistics. To start with, we have all heard about, am I audible? Yeah. So we all have heard about Industry 4.0, right? But we also have heard about Industry 5.0. What is the difference between Industry 5.0 to Industry 4.0? So Industry 4.1 was all about economic, how to improvise, how to save money. But Industry 5.0 has also brought in the social factor. And today's sessions on sustainability, right? We're all talking about sustainability. So how you achieve the economy along the sustainability also is what Industry 5.0 is about. So we're talking about innovations. Okay, we're talking about need of innovation. Why do we need innovation? what is changing in supply chain that we need innovation? What is changing in logistics that we need innovation? So if you see, in different business process, there is a lot of lot of companies are coming with a lot of innovations. So if we do not come up with innovations, then you lose on the competition, right? And the need of the hour is agility. There are a lot of disruption in the market. If you talk from, environment disruptions, you would have heard about the COVID, yeah. Then the screw canal where we had the disruption in the supply chain, that has also, disrupted the supply chain. So we cannot go with a predefined process and continue with it. The need of the hour is that we adopt our supply chain and logistics process as per the, disruptions that are happening in the market. So the need of the hour is agility. So if you see, almost around 70% of the organizations, they have adopted already Industry 4.0. And if the survey that was done, it says that most of the companies, CIO, CEO, and CFO, they understand that there is a need to also, go for Industry 5.0. And if they have not already gone to Industry 4.0, to adopt Industry 4.0. So there are other, impacts, as you can see from the slide. The lack of collaborative planning that we have, the bullwhip effect that is there, the need for shorter life cycle products. So whenever you are introducing a new product, we cannot wait for 6 months to introduce a new product. It has to be faster. So the need is that the life cycle of the product for the new introduction has to be shorter. So these are the reasons, compelling reasons that there is a need for innovation. Now, first I will talk about what are the key innovations that are there, and then I'll give little bit details about some of the key innovations. Yeah. To start with, blockchain. So what is blockchain? It is a shared ledger between different stakeholders which provides transparency. So we developed a solution for Nestle. When the truck goes across the border, it has to clear the customs duty, right? And for Nestle, what used to happen is that the truck would normally wait at the border for a day for the duty clearance. Now, with the help of blockchain, what we able to achieve is that all these informations, all these approvals were in place. When the truck moved from DC, a distribution center, to the border, the approvals for the customs were already in place, because the different stakeholder here, the company, the Nestle, and then the government authorities, they were having a shared ledgers, and then the authorities were able to approve the customs clearance, while on the move. So in this way, we were able to save a lot of time for the transportation. Then IoT, we would have heard about IoT, right? Those sensors that we have. If on the move, you need certain products to have specific temperature, and if the temperature goes beyond a certain range, then you want that to be informed, and then, people can take corrective actions if the temperature is not maintained within that range. So with the help of IoT, we can achieve this, yeah. With the help of IoT, it can send information to the right authority, and, you can take corrective actions. Then Gen AI, I think there was a session on Gen AI and machine learning in the morning. I'll talk about it in details in a specific slide. But according to a survey done in 2022, we all acknowledge that Gen AI is going to be the next big thing. So whenever we talk about cost reduction, whenever we talk about sustainability, whenever we talk about efficiency, Gen AI is the next big thing. Okay, robotic and automation. We have all seen in the warehouse how the regular work of ASRS, automatic storage and retrieval, is being replaced by the robots. So if you go to companies, developed countries like Germany, it is no more humans who do the warehouse work. It is all controlled by the robots. So whenever the stock comes, the robots would go and pick up from the truck, put it away in the warehouse, in the rack, and then whenever you need to ship out the stocks to the DC or to the customer, it is again the robot who is doing this activity. So with the help of this automation and robots, you are not only saving money, but you are also improving the health conditions of the employee who would be working on the warehouse, yeah, and robot doing these jobs. Then moving on, 3D printing. The 2D model that we have, the use of 3D printing, we can convert it to 3D printing, 3D model, and then this helps, drastically in the new product introductions. So the prototype that we do for any new product introductions can be fast-tracked with the help of 3D printing. This is like additive manufacturing, so any new products can be easily introduced. Then we have AR and VR, augmented and virtual reality. So again, for like you have this, steel fabrication, yeah, structural steel fabrications. You can use AR. So it is like you can do it remotely with the help of AR. You can use it, and you can develop the prototype for it. A lot of safety training that we do for the warehouse, for the production facilities, can be done with the help of VR, virtual reality. You no longer need to go to the factories or to the warehouse to go through the safety training. Sitting in the room, in the office, you can go through this training, and this is very cost efficient, and also, it is also helping in terms of safety. The assembly line that we have, the efficiency for the assembly line can also be increased with the help of AR and VR. So it is all like, virtual with the help of physical assets that you have and also the virtual world. You amalgamate both of them and then you achieve this efficiency. Predictive and prescriptive maintenance. So lot of time you would see in the industry, especially industries like steel industry, we have downtime, right? And why we have the downtime? Because some of the spare parts have gone, are not functioning. So with the help of predictive and prescriptive maintenance, the warehouse manager, the plant manager can be informed in advance about some of the parts which would fail in near time future. So you put IoT sensors or other technology there, and they will be informed, say 2 days in advance, and then they can take the precautions. They can take those parts for maintenance. So in this way, we are avoiding any downtime for the plants. And not only for this was one of the examples that I gave for predictive and prescriptive maintenance. It also helps in your inventory, in demand forecasting, in the collaborations. So it has got a lot of use cases. Okay, digital twins, it is a new buzzword in supply chain and in the technology world. I'm going to talk about in details. I have a dedicated slide for that, so we'll talk about it. I would give a pause here if you have any questions on the assets that we already spoke about. Okay, moving on. AI camera. I don't know how many of us have heard about this AI camera. So this is like a camera with AI facilities. So it not only takes pictures, it takes a lot of information from those pictures, and then it prescribes you a lot of things that you do, right? Let's take from inventory management perspective. So whenever you need to do inventory reconciliations in your warehouse, in your factory, right? It takes a lot of time, lots of effort. So the inventory reconciliations can be easily done with the help of AI camera. So it will automatically do your reconciliations. It will do a physical inventory and let you know if there is any mismatch in the system inventory and the actual inventory. Then in terms of logistics, it helps in route management, in providing the rerouting, in fact, based on the weather conditions, and if there is any traffic facility. In terms of rules and compliance, it helps in the safety regulations. It with the help of capturing the information, it tells the right person whether proper safety methodologies are being followed in your factories or manufacturing factories or warehouse. Then all the security monitoring, you can with technology advancing, we see that there is a lot of scope for theft, right? If you see any distribution channel, there is a lot of scope for theft. With the help of GenAI camera, you can monitor all those things in your warehouses and in the factory, and it can tell you if there is any breach in the security. Yeah. Quality control, also we see that the products, after the products are finished, when we ship it to the customer, before that, one way is doing the manual quality control. Like it takes a lot of time, and then there is a human error involved. But with the help of AI camera, you can automate it, and it gives a very good results. We have started implementing for some of our clients. It is still in the implementation phase, but it's not fully. Okay, moving on. So one of the asset that I told about was digital twin. Now, what is a digital twin? We have the assets, we have the supply chain process in place, right? The physical assets that you have and the supply chain process. Digital twin is just a digital replica of your assets and supply chain process. And you input your real-time data into these digital twins so as to replicate the as-if scenario. So suppose you want to, come up with a new DC, distribution center, or new plant, then what would be the impact? Where you should have it? What should be the physical location of that particular DC? Suppose you want to come up with a promotion, then if the promotion is say, for specific SKU, what should be your inventory optimization? How much of inventory you should have? So with the help of supply chain digital twin, you do all this as if scenario, you provide the inputs that is there in the real world, and then it provides you, it will give you the data, and then from those data you can take an informative decision. So as you can see from this chart also, it has got various applications. It has got, the problems which are addressed are like creating new locations like DC or factories, the transportation planning, the sourcing part of it, from which is the right vendor to procure from, the fleet size optimization, what should be the height of your truck, and so on. Service level and capacity estimation, the bullwhip analysis, risk analysis, and resource planning and optimization. So as we move, this is like a pyramid structure, right? As we move up, the details are less, but the impact would be high, yeah? Okay, that was digital twin. Moving on. So we all have heard about data, right? Data is, we all say, data is the next oil. So there is huge amount of data. Data in terms of my SKUs, my productions, data in terms of my customers, data in terms of my transportations, my route, data in terms of my vendors. Now, if the management or the leadership has to take an informed decision from multiple sources, you might have multiple systems, and the vendor might be using a different system, the customer might be using a different system, you as manufacturer might be using a different system. So with this multiple systems, if the leadership has to take a informative decision, then there is a solution called supply chain control tower. It is a one-page view where you get all that information in different domains. So it helps you in collaboration, the collaboration with your different stakeholders like supplier, the transporter provider, or even the customers. Yeah? It helps in providing transparency. So as you know, that transparency is the need of the hour. You might, a lot of companies are now present globally. So globally, if someone, say, sitting in the London office wants to know across globe, how much, where are my trucks, how are they moving, are we meeting the KPIs, how are the vendors supplying, and if there is any supply chain disruptions from vendor, what are the alternative options I have to procure the same material in the same time, ensuring that my production is not impacted. So that transparency provides, yeah. Cognitive automation, what is cognitive automation? It is like your supply chain experts, your supply chain manager would be taking, on some situation, they would be taking some decision, right? So the system would learn themselves from the decision taken in the past, and then in future, they would be doing those steps automatically. They would not require the supply chain experts for it. So it will be basically replacing the need of the experts and the system doing that information. Then we have augmented intelligence. So as I said, this is not only predictive, it is also prescriptive. So it also come up with a lot of analysis, and it will prescribe you what needs to be done. Yeah, so that was all about supply chain control tower. Moving on, GenAI, we talked about this, all our GenAI products, we talked about it, that GenAI has got applications in all stage of your supply chain. It is not limited to only manufacturing, it is not limited to your logistics, but across, yeah. So it starts with demand forecasting, planning, and production. What would be the, based on the historical data, based on your customer segments, what would be the future demand? Yeah, it takes into considerations all the parameters and comes up with the demand planning. Then warehouse automations, fulfillment robots. So if there is a shortage of stock for a specific raw material that is part of your component, that is part of your BOM in the productions. So normally what happens is that someone would physically go and see and then place an order for that. But with this, it will automatically tell you that there is a shortage of this product. Yeah. Then, for example, there are some fast-moving products, there are some slow-moving products. So based on your past warehouse movement, this product would automatically tell you that, hey, these are the fast-moving products, and you should be keeping it near to the picking area rather than keeping it on the other side of the warehouse. Yeah. So it has got a lot of applications. Transports and freight management, I have spoken about how it helps in rerouting and optimizing your routes, saving energy, saving cost for you based on the weather conditions, based on the traffic situations, and based on your different routes. Supply chain visibility and risk management. We spoke about the risk management, how it neglects, how it takes into account the various global risks like the environmental risks, the supplier risks, the customer risks, and so on. Sourcing, procurement, and supplier management. There are a lot of products in the market, and the need of the hour is that you should not be dependent on a single supplier, rather you should have all the alternative possible. But in case if there is a specific supplier is not able to meet your requirement, then what is the alternative that the other supplier can provide you? What is the best price that they can provide, and in what lead time you can get the same raw material in your warehouse? Sustainability and compliance, in each and every aspect of it, sustainability is a key area that we have already spoken about. An example is that US Steel has, they have partnered with Google, and they have come up with a GenAI products, which is like for their user, for their maintenance team, they would ask questions in the GenAI tool that, if I need to fix it, how do I fix it? So the GenAI tool would come up with the suggestion that you fix it, these are the steps that needs to be done, and you would even come up with the, the photographs or the video. So it becomes very, very useful for the maintenance team to carry on their, to execute their steps and learn from this rather than someone telling them how to do it. Yeah. So there is a technique called generative adversarial networks (GAN) that can be used for tasks such as generating synthetic sensor data for testing algorithm, simulating production scenarios, or generating virtual representation of steel products for visualization and design purpose. Okay. Yeah, last one I think. Yeah, last one, I promise. So we spoke about efficiency, we spoke about reducing cost, we spoke about transparency. How we cannot speak about sustainability. This is the whole sustainability, as I said, sustainability is not all about reducing cost in production or logistics. Sustainability is not only taking care of your plant, but sustainability is a complete ecosystem. When I buy the products from my vendor, I would like to ensure to give more weightage to a vendor who is following the sustainability standards. We talk about ESG, right? Environmental, social, and governance. So it is not only about the safety conditions of my workers, which is environment, but also the social factor of it. Am I giving equal opportunity to all my workers in terms of the safety conditions and other in terms of even compensations, right? So when we talk about the ecosystem, let's start with vendor. So a lot of companies are now not only asking for the vendor price and not only looking into the vendor price and the quality, but they also want to see that whether the vendors at their end are following this, are following the process of sustainability. And then a lot of vendors are given preference based on that. You would have seen that when we order Blinkit, right? We get the bag. Now earlier it used to be in the plastic bag, but now it is no more the plastic bag. It is the paper bag. So this not only achieves the sustainability target, but also it reduces the cost. So whenever we talk about sustainability, we think that it is an additional cost for the organization, but it is not true. that if you think about sustainability right from the beginning, it will not only, it is not that it is going to cost you much, but it is also going to, the image of the company, the image of the company improves with the help of ESG. So in terms of sustainability, in terms of your manufacturing, the company needs to ensure that the working conditions are good, the transportation, whatever the transportation that we are using is not using much of energy. It is, yeah. Even the customers, as I said, looking for the products which are sustainable. So when now the customers have become very knowledgeable, right? They also look for the products which are sustainable. Companies should take care with the scrap management. So it's a circular economy. How we dispose the scrap, that is also important, whether it is having any CO2 emission and all. So that is also important. Yeah. So there is a mining industry. There is one of the company in the mining industry. They used autonomous vehicles, IoT, and sensors, and a lot of data analysis they have done to reduce the fuel consumption, minimize the waste, and thus leading to sustainable goal. And in fact, there is a company called Barrick Gold Corporation. They use the AI data to predict equipment failures that I spoke about, right? How can you use the data for the prediction of the data? So this was in short, this is a topic which I can talk for 4 hours, 5 hours, but with the given time, sorry, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vikas, for an excellent presentation. In fact, I could have given more time to you, but because of paucity of time of this session, I'm unable to give the time. If we can take a few questions from the audience, if they have any. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Vikash, right? So, from your experience in last, I would say 5 years, how do you think that companies are actually adopting this entire technology part that you spoke about? Your experience.
Yeah, good question. So if you go back to 2005 or 6, somewhere around that, IT was considered to be a additional budget. A lot of companies started exploring whether we should be investing in IT or not, right? Then now if you see, IT is no longer considered to be an external benefit, but it is part of your strategy. Be it CIO, be it CFO, be it CMO, everyone thinks that IT is an integrated part of any implementations. You cannot live without IT. The same change that we see for sustainability in last 4-5 years. So sustainability is no longer an optional thing for any of the big organizations who do care for their market image. So what we have seen that whenever we go for digital transformation, we bring in sustainability quotient at the beginning itself. So a lot of companies say, hey, what are the products that you have for sustainability? What you have done for sustainability in other organizations? So a lot of companies, there is a lot of curiosity about sustainability, and they want to bring in the sustainability in the complete ecosystem, be it supply chain, be it marketing, be it production. So this is a major change that we see in the last 5 years. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, if there are any other questions. Okay, because thank you for the excellent presentation. Basically, you spoke about the supply chain management, recent innovations, especially IT-enabled one, with how we have implemented this Industry 5.0 in supply chain management. You have discussed Industry 5.0, all aspects of Industry 5.0, starting from blockchain to IoT systems to digital twins and all the aspects you have discussed. Very nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The third and last presentation of this session is basically on technology. It is a sustainable steel refining process in induction furnace. It will be presented by Neha Jha of Jamipol. Neha, please. I request you to limit your presentation maybe 12 to 15 minutes. Yeah, okay.
So a very good evening to all of you. My name is Neha Jha and I have completed my BTech from NIT Jamshedpur in Metallurgical and Material Science Engineering. I am associated with Jamipol since last 3 years, and today I am standing in front of you all to take you through my presentation on sustainable steel refining process in induction furnace. Before diving deep, just a glimpse of my company. Jamipol is promoted as a joint venture of Tata Steel India, SKW Germany and Thai Industries Bhutan. And we have been pioneer for providing solution to integrated steel plants for hot metal desulfurization like Tata Steel and JSW. We have 20 patents and 15 trademarks, and also 36 patents are under evaluation. This slide shows the business presence of Jamipol across India. We have 7 manufacturing units in 3 different states with our head office in Jamshedpur. So like in the pre-lunch session, we said that we have been known in steel industry for providing solution to integrated steel plants, but our focus has now been shifted towards secondary producers like those who use induction furnace. How can we provide them solution for making sustainable steel as well as the quality products? So with this, I would like to start my presentation. Today, the world moves around the steel. Take a closer look around you and you will find steel almost everywhere. There is no building in the world that do not contain any component of steel, or there is no automobile that one drives which do not have any steel in it. The steel demand is going to be 300 million ton per annum by 2030. So we all are here to deliberate on how can we make our steel industry a sustainable one. So let me just highlight that our iron and steel industry is contributing around 12% to total CO2 emission. However, the steel which is getting manufactured through induction furnace, through this route, we can actually save 62% of energy compared to the conventional method. And why is it so, and how is it getting possible? It is because we all know about the key features of induction furnace. That first, it is energy efficient. It actually uses electromagnetic induction to heat the charge mix. Second, there is no direct fuel consumption. Third, there is reduction in the wastage in the form of slag or in the form of metal loss. And fourth, because of the lower water consumption. So because of all these key features, we can say that induction furnace steel making is actually a sustainable route for making steel. However, the pathway of this sustainable route is not so smooth. There are several challenges faced by the induction furnace manufacturers. Primarily because of its nature. Induction furnace is actually a melting furnace without any refining step. And we all know that cleaner steel making is actually a refining process. So what happens is, the construction steel which is getting manufactured through induction furnace has a lot of impurity elements like sulfur and phosphorus. This sulfur and phosphorus above a certain limit can adversely affect the mechanical property of the steel. They actually segregate at the grain boundaries and reduce the substantially lowers the resistance of the steel towards stress corrosion cracking. Primarily because the quality of the steel goes unchecked is the reason why we are hearing this kind of saddening news of collapsing of building, bridges, etc. We all can agree to the fact that poor quality of steel can cause loss of lives. And to control this, BIS is constantly trying to enforce quality norms over the different grades of TMT bars getting manufactured in terms of limiting the sulfur and phosphorus percentage. This is the high time that we should all introspect that one of the most sustainable path of making this steel, is it actually meeting the quality of the steel? Because we all can agree that sustainability and quality goes hand in hand. So from there lies the genesis of the solution. Actually, there are 2 major raw materials for induction furnace. One is steel scrap and another is DRI, which is also called sponge iron. Now that we have understood that there is no refining step in the induction furnace and it is just used for melting down, it is very much important for the steel manufacturers to source quality raw materials. But they face problem in this. Why? Because there is a limited availability of good quality indigenous scrap. And there is also, because of some geopolitical risk and the pandemic crisis that we have faced in recent years, the imported scrap rates has gone up, making it unviable for them to use. And the third one is because of the easy availability of direct reduced iron. India is the leading producer of DRI, and we have seen inclination of using DRI in the charge mix, which has gone up to 85%. And to highlight that this phosphorus actually comes from this DRI. This DRI is the culprit. But what can we do about it? Jamipol is with its vision to cater 50% of steel market and to generate 25% revenue from its new products has come up with a solution. And that is to add the refining step in the induction furnace. So I'm just focusing a slight concept of dephosphorylation of steel. Phosphorus present in the melt in the form of iron phosphide, and under oxidizing condition it get oxidized to P2O5 and translate to the slag. But it is not an stable oxide. It needs to form stable oxide and get holded into the slag, and that is getting helped by the basic fluxes like lime. All this process of oxidizing and getting into the slag is an exothermic process. So from the equilibrium point of view, it proceeds at a relatively lower temperature. Also, dephosphorylation is a slag metal interaction reaction. So this is the basic concept of dephosphorylation, and the product development journey begins with that. All the key requirements, like I said, oxidizing atmosphere, having high basicity to the slag, keeping the moderate melt temperature with a compatible furnace lining, and to ensure the sufficient slag metal interaction, the enablers were put to make an efficient dephosphorylation product. We have developed this product by using statistical technique called DOE with using two factors of multiple labels with mixed series. Factor A was taken as the basic flux to the input oxygen ratio, and factor V was taken as the slag fluidizer. Now why we have taken slag fluidizer as a factor is because the lime dissolution has to have on a lower temperature. So that is getting enabled by the slag fluidizer. So that is why the interaction of the slag fluidizer plays a very important role for developing the efficient dephosphorylation flux. Let me just tell you, all the process parameters while developing it at the lab scale was kept constant. So through lab experiments, it was established that neither basicity nor oxidizing flux can alone help in efficient dephosphorylation. We have to have a optimum condition for this. Out of the 8 combinations tried in the lab scale, we have seen a maximum of 81% of dephosphorylation, and the flux which gave that was chosen for industrial deployment. Before putting some light that how have we deployed for industrial applications, let me just express it was not easy at all. Though we have developed efficient dephosphorylation reagent, but establishing it under industrial application was a completely different and enriching experience. There are various process parameters, and the efficient dephosphorylation not just depend upon the effectiveness of the reagent. It depends upon various process parameters like at what point it is to be added, what is the temperature control, what is the stirring conditions, how are we effectively using it says a lot about it. So that is why I prefer to not just limit it as a dephosphorylation reagent, I prefer to call it a dephosphorylation solution. And I'm happy to share with you all that because of optimizing most of the process parameters, we have achieved our target phosphorus in 100% of the heats at tapping. We could also see a sulfur drop in all the treated heats when we compare it with the normal hits during the same tenure with having the same charge mix. This dephosphorylation treatment has been successfully achieved without any major increase in the process time. So with this, I would like to conclude that for steel, quality is very much essential for making high quality products. And now, Jamipol does have a solution for not only dephosphorylation but also for desulfurization in induction furnace steel. All this solution has been designed with a vision to contribute towards the sustainability goals. And I would also like to mention that you may get to know all about this dephosphorylation solution in greater detail in upcoming Steel Tech Journal. So with this, I would like to thank you all, and with a quote that this is the time for all of us to shift from steel manufacturers or steel consumers to caretakers. We all have the power to save a sustainable world around us with our own choices. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha, for your nice presentation. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I think a lot of questions may be there from the audience because many of the audience are metallurgists. Yeah, please.
Myself, Anirban Datta, by profession I am a mechanical engineering consultant and also holding the portfolio of Honorary Secretary of the Institution of Engineers, West Bengal State Center. So my question will be that at the technology provider side, Madam has presented an excellent case, excellent research and development work. But as far as the induction furnace route or arc furnace or DRI, that route is mainly spread over the MSME segment. So what is the response in the other side, that is at the plant owner side or the project proponent side, because anything new towards achieving sustainability that needs an investment. So any technological advancement or any other measures to be adopted, what are their perception, their readiness to take up, and what is the response you are seeing from your client side? Are they ready to spend this additional amount as investment?
So thank you so much for this question. I'm just telling that our clients are so much aspirational. They are getting very much aspirational to produce quality steels. And whenever we are interacting, they just want us to help them. And if we prove the reagent that is actually working, they are okay with the investment that is required. So we first show them the lab results. We also show them our trial results, and taking them as a concurrence, we do the further trials. So
Yeah,
I'm getting very positive response from the induction furnace, and that is encouraging me to do more for them.
Well, you can discuss this later during a networking session because we are running out of time. So thank you, Neha, for a nice presentation. You are very nicely presented. In fact, a lot of steels are now being produced, especially in the small scale sector, mini steel plant sector, in induction furnace route. But the limitation, as you rightly told, that it is only a melting stage and not refining. I'm glad to know that Jamipol is developing a lot of reagents, especially for dephosphorylation and desulfurization in induction furnace. Yes. It's a good development. Thank you very much.
Dr. Ray,
Thank you.
Dr. Ray, excuse me, can I have 1 minute here?
Okay.
Yeah, so to respond to Mr. Datta's query, there is a change in mindset. Okay, people need money, but investment may come from two sides, one from owner side, another from customer side. Customers are ready to invest in the process to get a better steel. So we are getting encouraging results, and Neha has rightly mentioned it is not only dephosphorylation, is a refining as a package, dephosphorylation and desulfurization to give a good construction product mainly to the market. Thank you, Dr. Ray.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. There are three excellent presentations, Sulochana, Bikash and Neha. We would love to talk even more, but as you know, one more session is technical session is there, three presentation to be done. Therefore, I have to, of course, enough time is given, 60 minutes. Thank you very much, chairman and all the presenters for the excellent session. I'd like to request for a photograph. I think before that, may I call upon Mr. Jayanta Chatterjee, our Chief Advisor, to hand over the gifts to this presenter. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chatterjee. A big round of applause for all of them.